guest this evening is Kay Brown, and you're a foster for Concho Valley PAWS.
Yes.
So before we talk about fostering, just tell everybody a little bit of background, where you're from, what inspired you.
Well, I'm a military brat, so I've moved all over the world and seen lots of animals and how different countries handle animals. Younger, I grew up on a dairy farm in New Mexico, so every kind of animal. And my grandfather believed that animals, especially like a farm animal or a dairy animal or something, was like a gift. He took care of them. Not so much, a lot of times you see people now, they're like a possession, a thing. So we learned every living animal had importance. Little frogs, we'd run out to save them in the morning before the tractors came, and rabbits, whatever showed up, we took care of. And then we always had dogs growing up. Whatever dog showed up went into the pack as well. And places that we moved, sometimes they had to go into quarantine a long time, so we had to give up because we made the choice not to leave a dog in quarantine 3 months or longer. So those were hard decisions, and know that those things have to happen. And I saw people that did put their animals in, and the animal that went into quarantine wasn't the animal that came out of quarantine. And of course, probably then they were just in the cage and they fed them, and the families were able to go and walk them in the facility, not take them out. So that was probably traumatizing too.
I bet.
The dog to see the family and then be put back into
For
the
both
cage.
the family and the dog.
Yes. So I've seen a lot of that, and I always figured that I would do some kind of volunteer work, but I had a daughter and work and other pets and pets that needed a lot of attention, and so that didn't happen until last year when the crisis happened with the shelter. I didn't have a pet. Well, I have an ornery cat, but she was the only one in the house, and so I just drove out one day to the shelter and said I can take one home, and ended up with one.
And now you're addicted.
Yes. I wasn't sure at first, because then I thought, there's always that thought if you can give it up. But so far, I've been lucky that the families have seemed right for the pets, and they've kept in touch. And then the first time that I had to step up and say, oh, no way, I don't think this is the right fit. And I did step up and say, this is not going to happen. And then the right fit did come along. Then I knew I can do this. And I don't think I want another pet of my own long term, but I don't mind giving up. So I'm up to, number 8 is in my house right now, over a year.
Number 8 in a year's time period. That's insane.
Yes.
That all happened like the end of August, beginning of September in 22.
Yes.
So yeah, literally it's been like a year. And 8 dogs?
Yes.
Wow.
Some went fast. Some took a little longer. The little guy I have now will probably take quite some time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell everybody about some of your fosters and what it's like to be a foster parent.
I take it really serious that I just don't have them there. I need to figure out what their baggage is and try to help them be the best pet that they can be going forward, and that's how we met. Seeing and knowing. And I also think that, when I would take a pet at my house, you just take them in and you get them because that's what you got, and you deal with their baggage or your baggage and you make it work. Like these guys, you have to do what you have to do fast so that they show well and they'll be successful to go into a new home. So I've had all kinds. Most of them brought baggage. They were super scared, and I seem to do better with the super scared. For some reason, they don't, they'll take to me a little faster or come out of their shell. They don't necessarily want to chew my arm off, but they do pretty good with me. So I've had a part pit bull puppy that was emaciated when she came in. When I picked her up, she was skin and bones. Most of her bones were showing, and fed her back to getting better. And grown. The first dog I got was a healer mix. And really good. Went to a young couple that I see at the dog park, still with him.
Good.
And I've had little scared ones that were hiding.
So you saw him at the dog park. Are you stalking the people that take your?
Yes. Yeah,
He's out there with binoculars
I
at
was
the
like,
dog
I want
park.
to see if you're taking
You
care of
did
this
good.
dog. Yeah. No, when I've taken other dogs out there, then I've seen them walking it too. Yes, because I try to take, when I have one at my house, I try to take them someplace every day, every other day, something to do to get them out.
Exposure, socialization.
Yes. Yes, so I try to do something, so we'll walk to a different part and not too much of the same routine, so that they, and you can just go as fast as they let you. Sometimes
Right.
they're not up for it. But yeah, that's kind of where I am with them. The one I have now is gonna be a bit. He's on the extreme side of not liking people.
I think that working with dogs with behavioral issues or doing any type of modification, behavioral wise, I mean that's it's a talent, it's a gift. It's not something that everybody can do with the dogs. Read them and be able to know. Because even when we're talking about socialization and exposure, if you don't do enough, they don't progress, and then if you do too much too fast, they'll recess. So it's so tricky. So for you to be able to just have that like intuition, to know is something. What do you think dealing, because you said you had a lot of the fearful dogs, do you think is like the biggest hurdle or biggest challenge, either for you or for the dog itself?
I think for the dog, it's for them to trust that I'm gonna do the right thing, even if I'm pulling them past their boundary, that either I'm gonna back off or we're gonna get forward and it wasn't so bad. So getting their trust, I think, is the toughest thing. And for me, it's kind of knowing that to figure out if I'm pushing too far or too fast, because like I said, I want them to get to a home. I don't necessarily want them long term at my house, that they get attached and it's a change. So it's a struggle, like how far I'm pushing them or pulling them every single time. And I had a dog that I got as a 3-month-old puppy from somebody, and that dog lived for 11 years. She was sickly the whole 11 years, and he would pop in and out of her life, like when he would come to town, or he'd be gone for 2 years and he'd come back in. At any point that she heard that man's voice, she went ballistic. She never forgot who he was. And so that's a hard thing when I think about them coming through my house or where they've been before, because there was no doubt. I mean, she wouldn't see him for 2 years, 6 months, 3 years, and then she'd hear him, and she was crazed to get to him. So
they don't forget.
They don't. I mean, so many times they say they just live for now. I know that that's not true. No,
they definitely remember, because you think of like anybody, like military members that serve and they're overseas for a year, so they come back, the dog knows within a couple seconds of getting their smell who that is, and they're crazy.
Yes.
So they definitely.
It's always, that's the hard thing too, like I want them to adjust and to get to a family quick, so that it's not too long term at my house.
Have you had any foster fails, like ones that you couldn't let go of?
No, so far I have not. Now, I had a transport foster, the one number 7.
Johnny number 5.
And I'm a small dog person. It was a pretty good sized dog, and she might have failed if she wasn't going off to transport. She got to go to Canada.
Hey.
Yeah. But yeah, she's a pretty spectacular little dog.
What would you say is your favorite thing about fostering?
The people I've met. The families that have gone to them, the other fosters, people I've met at Petco at the events, or walking a dog and somebody asking questions. I think that's probably the best part, that there is a community that does care.
There is, and I don't think they get highlighted enough. That is one of my motivations for doing a podcast, is to bring up, that there are people in the community that love dogs. There is things that you can do with your dogs. There are different professionals in different fields that can help you with your dog. And, sometimes social media is a great tool. You can do a lot of promo on there, but it can also be something that you put it on and it's just some negative after one after another. And then you start to, if you're on there too much or you get too in depth, it starts to really, people can get depressed from it.
Yes.
And then you start to lose faith in your community. So I think having more of the positive end of dog ownership or just, dog lovers or enthusiasts in the area, I think it's just, it's something that needs to be out there to kind of counter some of the negativity.
I agree. I think that's a really hard time, especially right now where the city is, that when you're talking about a living thing, it's hard to have hard set rules, guidelines, because every situation, every living thing, every family, every dog, every animal, everything's different.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very hard place to be, and the alternative, if somebody's not taking in an animal, is it's suffering.
Mm-hmm.
It's outside, it's not getting fed, it's not getting shelter, it's suffering. Then the next side of that is if you took in every one of them that was on the street.
You're suffering. No, I'm kidding.
Or the shelter is, what do they do with them? If there's only so many cages, so many pens,
and you get overwhelmed, and the animals get overwhelmed, and then they're not taken care of right, and then you end up almost with a similar situation, or even worse than if they were in the street. So
yes.
It's a very fine line.
It's a very ugly line.
Yeah, ugly fine line.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It's like a wrinkled piece of angel hair pasta.
There you are. And if they have to go to euthanasia, and it's very hard because our shelter is old,
Mm-hmm.
and it has hit that very bad stage, so I'm not sure that life is better inside that shelter than on the streets, except that they get food regular. I think water too. So,
Yeah.
but that's we're in a very hard time in the city.
So, the dogs in the shelter, when you foster, do you go in and pick which dog, or are they assigned to you? How does that process work?
So it can work both ways. If you're interested in being a foster, you can look online and see the adoptable dogs that are available and ask for that dog and meet it. And I can only speak for PAWS, that's who I've volunteered with.
Mm-hmm.
They do ask you questions and your family questions, and they try to make sure that it's a good fit,
Mm-hmm.
maybe how experienced that you are, and so they try that. In my case, because they've kind of gotten to know me, and I don't like to see all the sad faces that I have to say no to and walk past. I'm like a bad day and a bad decision away from being a pet hoarder.
On tonight's episode of Pet Hoarders, Shane Brown.
I don't want to look past.
It's been banned from the local shelter.
So I don't want to have to see those sad faces.
Yeah.
So they're and they've gotten to know. They know I like the smaller dogs, and so they'll actually call and say, "Hey,
I have a great day for you."
yeah. I got a great dog. It won't get out of its kennel, but if you could come get it, I think it'll be good. So
that seems to be your main focus, though, is the fearful dogs or with some kind of anxiety or trauma that's held them back.
Because I seem to be able to do that, and so a small dog gets adopted faster than a big dog, or the pits, the breeds that have those stigmas.
Mm-hmm.
So the little ones get adopted fast. So it's not like I have to go take one and foster it to get adopted. It probably would get adopted. But the fearful ones that are scared and won't come out or won't show or back up on their leash, they don't really have a fighting chance.
I know a lot of people will see them and be like, "Oh, I don't want that dog. He's not friendly, or he's not playful, or."
And if you have kids, you can appreciate that. You don't know what you're taking in your house and how quick something could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to make a difference. I don't want to foster fail. I want to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And so that seems to be the niche that I can make a difference at, one dog at a time that's fearful, that feels safe and can come out of its shell, then it has a fighting chance.
I think that's really awesome. I think we need more fosters like that. I think we need more fosters in general, but it is a lot to ask for somebody. You know, you have to bring an animal in, and then you can get emotionally attached easy, and then you have to say goodbye to them, and then you have to trust that where they're going is going to be a good place, and they're not going to end up either being abused or back on the street or back in the shelter.
Yeah.
So it's emotionally taxing.
It also takes time because I guess some of the dogs might not take as much time. They just
put in the work,
but you have to put in the work, you know, and then go Saturday to the events, to the adoption events.
Make sure people are seeing the dogs, because if you're
Got
you're
it at home.
rehabbing them, but no one's seeing them, then
Yes.
So what do you think, for anybody that wants to get into fostering or is maybe curious about it, what is the best advice that you think you could give?
And again, since I've really only fostered for PAWS, I can only speak for them. But I know that if you go in and talk to them and you tell them you're interested in being in, a foster, they're pretty good about picking out one that might be easy and maybe adoptable, and ask the questions, and so that you can start. And also the commitment is to not give up. So if you go to the first Saturday adoption at Petco and the dog doesn't get adopted, you can't just stop coming. You have to keep getting it out and not give up. And I feel like a lot of times
Well, it's a
they give
commitment
it.
and
Yes.
patience and
Yes.
being consistent.
True.
So along those lines, also a person that's, considering fostering, what do you think are like the qualities that they should possess? Like what would help them be a good foster?
I always think that a lot of times, except for the commitment and knowing their family, if they have other pets, most animals adopt to the house. They're not that picky about most food. They'll adopt to your way of life, and so you just kind of have to open your arms and let that happen sometimes. And the next thing is just the commitment. And you find your niche. You kind of find which animals work better for you or work better for your family. But you can't just do that once and give up, and one adoption event and give up.
Right. And since you're a foster for Concho PAWS, is there any programs that they offer to help fosters, like any training or classes?
They have some classes, and anytime that I've had any kind of trouble, I've always just called, asked. That's how I found out about you. They were happy to give that number. They will talk. They're busy, and so a lot of times I know a lot of people say, I call out there and they don't answer.
They have their hands full though.
Go to that door 1 minute and stand in that front door and see their phone is ringing off the wall, somebody's carrying in. One time I was there and they came in with a dog that got stabbed someplace, and they're rushing off trying to figure out which vet they're gonna get to. So their hands are full, and so sometimes it is a text and wait it out, or it's an emergency or something else, and you just have to go there. It is just a crazy crisis every minute out there, unfortunately. Right. But they will try to figure out, they offer the crates, they offer the food, they offer, if you have other pets, they'll do their vaccinations and things like that as part of your personal pets. If you have a personal pet and you're fostering for them, for their yearly vaccines, they'll.
Alright, Jen, I'm gonna be hitting you up for my 10 other dogs.
I'm gonna bring all the rest of them in for it. I've had weird now, how long? Yes.
No, they are a great group there. And there's minimal number of employees, and they just lost Chastity, who was a really good employee there. So, and I think, again, social media plays this, it can be a negative thing, and so you're seeing all that, and then you're getting frustrated because you call that they're never answering, or why aren't they doing this? And it's just understanding, how busy they really are, and how short-handed they are. You have this number of employees and this number of dogs and things going on.
Dogs that have to be fed, dogs have to be walked, they have to be inside, they have medicines, they have
to
spay
rotate
days,
all of them.
Yes.
All of them have to be rotated. All of them got to be fed. All of them got to be potted. The crates, the kennels got to be clean.
Yes,
That's a lot.
it is. So I know that they get a lot of backlash, as well as the other, rescue groups, but I don't really know anything about those other rescue groups. It's easy with PAWS, there's a building with their name on it.
Yeah.
You know, if you drive there and you go in the door, there's gonna be somebody there.
And they're right next to the shelter too, so everybody's like, ah, this one right here.
Right, so the other ones I don't know anything about.
So, is this something that you see yourself doing long term?
Yes, is what I would say first, but, if I had a foster fail or I was really uncomfortable with the home that they were gonna send a dog to, that would probably become my fail. If they didn't hear me
You
when
would
I
keep
said,
'em.
yes, I would keep them over them going to a
So you're
home.
very protective of your fosters.
Or any animal, but yes, for sure. If I put in the time, I've made them, I want them to have the right home. And like I said, I have some that have kept up with me and send me regular updates or pictures of the dog. Some, after, a few months moved on and didn't say, which you would want.
That's fine.
That's fine, yeah, they're living their life and all of that. So, so all of that's good, but I think would it be more I wouldn't turn. If I felt a really bad vibe inside that wasn't the right home and they were saying, this is where the dog's gonna go, then I'd say, no, this is coming home with me. Then I don't, and it takes a lot of time for the pets, and so I don't know that I'm very good. I only had one kid, cause I didn't know I could split the love. So, I think, and so far she's just had one grandson, so I'm doing good. One's good.
Everything's-
Yes, one cat, one dog.
She's carrying the tradition.
So I don't know if I had my own, if I could give the time. And I've had sickly dogs before that, so they did take more time. So some dogs are just easy going and they're happy. Oh, I got a playmate, I got food in my bowl. I'm happy. Go ahead and bring somebody else in.
Does it matter to you how old your fosters are? Like, do you prefer seniors, puppies, or?
I don't really prefer the puppies because they take more time, potty training, you can't
It's a lot
just
of
leave.
work with puppies. People don't realize they think they're so cute and
Yes, and they, like you can't just put them in the crate for 3 or 4 hours and come home to get them out if you want to get them potty trained or things like that. So they take more time to do so. The Bree that was initiated, she was a puppy and she took a lot of time, but I'm glad she was there because she was so.
So she was additional on, on top of being a puppy, you had to nurse her back to health.
Yes.
So that was double the work
Yes.
for you.
So, and then, I don't want a senior dog that maybe doesn't have hope, cause I don't want a foster fail or them not to get better and move on.
Right.
And so, the happy medium, the year to,
Just
whatever.
adult dogs,
Yes,
yeah.
just adult ones. Just because I'm lazy.
Just you're far from lazy. You're a very good foster. You put in, as far as I know, I think you've had 2 or 3 dogs come through my training program, so that's really good.
This will probably be senior for this one.
Oh, who do you have now? Tell everybody who you have.
I have Toby right now, and Toby was in his crate, and they could barely even reach in to touch him. He would back off. If they fed him a little bit of chicken, he might at least take the chicken from him, but they barely.
And then go right back.
He'd scoot way back to the far corner. So I think they had him in an office, and they would open the crate door, put puppy pads down for him, and he would come out and potty on the puppy pad and go back in the crate, like just super scared. So I actually, like yesterday, I muzzled him to put him in the car to take him for a ride, to get him out and go do something else. I've only had him since last Tuesday, so not even a week yet. But we went and got a puppuccino, and I took off the muzzle once we were in the car, and he was okay for a ride. He knows, if you ask him if you want to go for a walk, he knows to go to the front door. He knows if you ask him to go outside, to go potty, he knows we're going to the back door. If I'm not in the room and he wants to, he'll scratch the door. So he had a family and manners
At
and
some
some
point,
training.
right.
Yes. But if you reach for him, he's backing up from you.
What type of dog is Toby?
He is a maybe schnauzer, fox terrier, kind of
Uh-huh.
wire hair mix. So like 15 pounds, maybe.
Like a banshee dog.
Yes, exactly like that. Yes. But yesterday he was out. He'll sit out. I keep the leash on him so I can get to him, and instead of chasing him to enforce that fear,
Right.
if I want him, I just kind of go in the area and I wait till he wanders by and I step on the leash and pick it up.
Gotcha.
I got you. And he'll be startled a bit, but then he'll do pretty good. So he'll sit in the backyard and just like sit in the grass and look out and smell the sights. And he's always double checking to make sure I didn't make any mistakes and leave an escape route for him. Checks all underneath all the gates and all the fence things.
He does security.
Yes. Or escape security.
Looking for escape.
Yes.
Escape route.
Right. But yesterday I would call him and have a treat for him, and he would come running up from the backyard and come and take the treat from me with his tail up, as long as I didn't reach to pet him. But he is tolerating. I can reach in his crate, and he'll sit there and let me pet him, and I, all his feet, and I touch all of him, and he'll just sit still. When I stop, he kind of looks at me like, you're done? But he won't come any closer or relax. He's just tolerating him.
So do you have a process when you first bring a foster home for like the first couple of days or even like the first couple of weeks? Is there like a process that you've developed to kind of help them adjust to their new surroundings and kind of decompress and settle in so that you can start to see like, their true colors?
I think the routine, so like feeding them at the same time, coming home
Establishing a routine,
yes,
daily routine.
and safe place of theirs now, and that they can go to is the most important piece that I do. And then just try to touch them, talk to them, kind of learn from them kind of what they know or what they're comfortable with. That's usually what and then you have to kind of follow their cue and then where they'll go.
So then with other animals in the house, like I know you said you have your ornery cat.
Yes.
Do you introduce them right away or do you take some time before?
So because it's a cat, she does her own thing, and so she'll come out and show them when she wants to.
Okay.
And I'm fortunate that she doesn't run like prey. She just sits down or watches them and sits still. So so far I haven't had a dog that wanted to kill her.
You've been lucky.
Yes. And I think most of it's because she
doesn't run.
And
isn't prey-like to them, yeah.
Yes. And now when she gets to know them, she will entice them to chase her, around the couch, and then she'll jump underneath the dining room chair and hide, and they're like confused where she went. But so far, it's like she knows, and she can get away. I have gates different places, so she can get through the gate or move away from the dog. So
she's kind of used to the process now and how to be around the dogs.
She was pretty much raised with, I got her as a tiny kitten, and she was raised with my dogs and my daughter's dog, and so she's just never had
never not had a dog around.
Right. I think she thinks she's a dog, that's why she just sits still. She's very vocal. If you call her, she comes out like, meow, what did you want? I was sleeping in the other room.
We have one that tries to go in our dog crates.
Yeah.
I gotta be careful letting them dogs in and out because they'll try to go.
Yeah, she sleeps in she tested all their dog crates to make sure that they've got the right beds in them. So even when I don't have a dog, the dog crate's there and she's in and out of them or with them.
I really love that is something that you do too, the crate training.
Oh, I always tell everybody that's the saving grace. That they can't chew up something, they can't potty all over the house. That's what makes you love your dog. Like, why fight all of those other things? Just
Right.
put them in the crate.
Put them in the crate, get them comfortable with it. You know, let them settle down. Let them understand that it's their space and it's a space where they can, you know, just be.
Yes. And I have a crate that I have out in the living room or dining room, and I have a crate in the bedroom for, you know, at night, you know, to say to go to bed. And so if, I have nieces and nephews and my grandson that come in and out of the house, so kids come in and out, which is usually a good thing also for so a cat, kids, and my daughter's dog, so they get a taste of a lot of things. But I can put them in the bedroom, in the crate in the bedroom where it's quiet away
If
from
it's
things,
too
if it's
much.
too much for them.
Right.
If they're not comfortable, I have gates in different parts of the house I can separate, if they can, so that helps too, but a crate training is, I can't ever imagine not. One of the families that was gonna take a dog, they said, well, I don't like to see them crated up or something, and I said, you can't take this dog home unless you put it in a crate. You go buy a crate, I'll go buy your crate.
Yeah, there's one of those things that have like a stigma attached to them, just have been misrepresented by people that just aren't educated about them, like the whole purpose of them and what they are, and that they're actually a good thing for your dog. You know, like you said, they're really good for puppies, they're good for potty training, they're good, you know, when they're going through their stage of, I'm gonna eat everything in your house. You know, they give them a place to calm down and settle in. And like you said, if you have company, maybe your dogs aren't good with company, or maybe your company is fearful of dogs. Even your dog could be great, but maybe your company just doesn't like dogs. So you have a place that you can put them, and you teach them that the crate is a good thing. You don't yell at them and throw them in the crate and make the crate. I always tell people, if you're gonna use it as like a correction or a punishment type thing, still put them in there good. Give them
Yes.
a treat, put them in there nicely. Like, they shouldn't know that it's a punishment. Cause they shouldn't have any type of negative association with a crate. Crate should be something that they want to go in, and it just should be only a positive association between the dog and the crate. But yeah, and it is difficult, because you have people that say, well, they were in the shelter in cages, and I don't want to put them in my house in a cage, and they don't understand the difference.
What, if you had a video at home of your dog and you weren't home, what do you think that dog's doing?
Yeah, like
70% of
the
the time.
first 30 minutes is when, and they're gonna rip up anything or go crazy, and after that, on your camera, they're gonna be on their backs on your couch sleeping.
Exactly, so
For
what's,
people don't understand that dogs, puppies, they can need upwards to like 18 hours of sleep per day. Adult dogs, it's like 12 to 16 hours. So you're just giving them that space to do what they need to be healthy, actually. And also, speaking of like when you're not home, if there was ever to be a fire or anything in your house, your firefighters and stuff are gonna know and be able to get your dog out a lot easier if they're in a crate versus hiding under a bed somewhere,
Right.
or chasing them around. They just lift the crate up and take your dog out, and now your dog is safe. So that's just something else that people should be aware of, you know, because when you have your dog free roaming in the house, if anything were to happen, it's gonna be a lot harder for any emergency team to get in there and get your dog. So.
I mean, I've, you know, left, once I was, I knew how a dog behaved, or left, you know, I've left them out for short spurts of being away. They kind of earned the chance to be on their back on the couch, their most favorite spot, and you know, just a little bit once I'm sure of their personality.
Their behavior, yeah.
Right, and now that, just like you said, also, like, maybe potty training, I wasn't attentive enough to realize that they needed to go out or watch the time, and they pottied in the house. Then, you know, I took them outside, cleaned up their mess, and then, cause I now know exactly where they are, what's happening, and then maybe brought them back so that I could go about the tasks that I was doing before, that I missed their cues. But always, that's what I didn't know the right terminology, but I always tried to do it as a positive place. Here's your treat, go in the crate. And then sometimes they get where they know that that's their safe place, and they wanna just go by themselves, or you don't always have to put a treat in.
Yeah, there's dogs that you leave the crate open during the day and they'll just start to go in themselves. Like they have that association with it. Like that's my bed, that's my den. You know, I'm gonna go in there and relax, and you know.
And even me, like having two different places, and as long as the dog is comfortable, but this is probably just my hang up, but I feel like I let the dog sleep in my room in the crate, cause it's kind of the packed place that they hear me breathing, they know that they're someplace else, so, and they're close by me, not just shut away, because you want them to bond to people, especially these ones that are so fearful, that it is a safe place, and maybe when they're not so fearful, be petted, you know, we have playtime on the bed before we go to bed, okay, it's great, you know, it's bedtime, but the dogs start to understand that this is their daytime crate and this is the bedtime crate. They kind of know the difference, and they're always open during the day that they can go in and out, as you know, if they're free and they want to go in and out.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. I don't see an issue with that. My dogs they have one crate, one room, and they go and they know they're okay. And dogs have a great sense of smell, no matter like where you are. They're gonna know if you're in the house or not. I can't even sneak in the house without my dogs knowing. Like I've tried. Sometimes I'm like, I don't want them to know I'm here, but they'll know. Like they hear that first foot. That's all it takes, and like,
come see us.
Yeah, so they'll know where you are, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. The only thing I would be aware of with the dog always being where you are is creating separation anxiety. So, you know, again, it depends on the dog. Some dogs, it's perfectly fine. Some dogs will follow you around all day, and then if you leave, they don't care.
Yes.
So,
and I had dogs that I thought that there was some separation anxiety, and so then they would mostly stay in the crate, in the living room away, and you know, less kids were in or something. I wasn't sure if they were putting fingers in the crate, you know. But I have had some that I stopped letting them be like where I was every time, just because it felt like they were leaning toward that separation anxiety. So it's always adjusting. It's a living being.
Constant.
Never the same.
Constant adjusting and maintaining with dogs a lot of upkeep. Even after they learn something, it's keeping it fresh. So, yeah.
If you get one that's food motivated, that's the best.
Yeah, high drive, high food motivation is definitely
this little guy that I got right now, he's not buying any of the treats I've had so far.
He still just might be a little stressed or in his shell still.
Yeah, he'll take a few, but no, he's just a smart dog. We're having steak bites. So I mean, well,
you spoiled him already.
Yes.
He's like, I know something better's coming.
Yeah. So if I just hold it out.
I want your hamburger. I want your steak.
That's right.
He sounds like a smart little guy. So Toby, and he's currently available for adoption, or
he is
or
available, but he will be. I don't think that
he's not ready yet.
No, yeah. He'll barely. Like I said, the only time I can pet him is inside his crate. So when I reach in, and at first I couldn't even reach in. It's taken me like 3 or 4 days to even be able to reach in or let him. He would jump and get away. So, if somebody wanted to work that hard with him, you know, definitely, but it would take a special person that's going to take the time.
A special person like Kay Brown.
I always say I can't be the only one out there that has patience.
Another thing I like about Concho PAWS Fosters is you all have a community. I know a lot of you are friends, a lot of you network with each other, and there's a couple other that have gone through my training program as well, and I love that.
And so I do try to get out and talk to the other fosters that do come to the events, or the second chance people that come with their dogs, and try to tell them, don't give up. You know, it's a timing, it's the right person, the right dog, the right place. And so don't give up, don't feel defeated, don't blame your dog, keep coming and trying. That dog out in public is the best place. So I wish there were more. They try to have evenings and have the fosters come, and not very many people show up, but those of us that do come more regular, we
you guys are like a little gang.
We are.
Foster gang.
Yeah.
You guys better watch out, they're gonna take your dogs.
animals.
Alright, well, Kay, I've had you here for about an hour, so I don't wanna take up too much more of your time. Before we go, is there anything that you'd like to mention about fostering, or either PAWS specifically, or just fostering in general, anything that you wanna put out there?
I think two things. I like this to be more positive, you know, it's not so much negativity that seems to get out there going rescue to rescue or the shelter. Positive, what can we do to make things better? Because each of us has to do the best we can for our own neighborhood and what's happening. And we have council people where there's people to reach out to and keep making suggestions, keep telling them the facts, not just ranting on social media gets anything done. So that'd be the best. I'd like to see the positivity, and that's one of the reasons I agreed to be here with you, because I've seen you reach out, help people with their dogs quickly, and you always take the, even if you're frustrated, people punch a dog or dogs not being on leashes, it's still a lesson, not negativity. And then we can all just do a little bit. So if your little bit is that you can walk a dog, you could give time at the shelter, one weekend with your kids as a family thing, that you went out to the shelter and they learned or to PAWS, and they learned that you have to give in the community to make it work, or the time that it takes to foster, maybe as a family foster a dog and make that decision together, and everybody make that commitment.
Educating.
Yes.
Educating each other, yeah.
Yes.
Instead of judging, yeah. Awesome, I agree. Alright, well, thank you for coming and doing this with me. Yeah, and maybe I'll meet Toby.
Yeah.
Can we bring him out to once he's ready?
Yeah, I think I'll probably have to have you come to see him, so
first.
you can see how frantic he is. Maybe he's gonna change, but it is taking a muzzle to, I had to take him to the vet, so we had to muzzle too.
Alright, oh, and lastly but not leastly, if anybody is interested in fostering through Concho Valley PAWS, who do they contact, or do you have any of that information, or?
Yeah, they just reach out to Concho Valley PAWS, and at PAWS so I am a foster advocate, so then if they have questions, PAWS will let me know or put them out. There's two of us, Susan Perry and myself. If you have questions, we're happy to talk to you, meet out there, you know, at PAWS with you, and I will pretty much make any adjustment to meet somebody else's time.
Can they request to speak with you?
Yes.
Through PAWS?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome.
Yes.
Alright, well, I think that's it, unless you have anything
No,
else.
thank
We're
you.
good?
Good.
Well, thank you again.